Welcome to an exciting part of the evening. And what we're really going to be covering as part of this panel is just the essence of how to build brands from stories. And we've got three distinct perspectives that are sitting on my right tonight, because we've got an element of human endurance, we have an element of the ability to tell stories through the lens of sports, and then we've got the ability and the concept of building bold infrastructure development. And each of these guests sitting on my right are very fascinating in their own right with respect to what they've managed to do. And so this concept of brand building is really something that we're going to be touching on quite a lot tonight. And if each of my guests on the right could introduce themselves just for 2 minutes, who they are, what they do, and then we're going to get into the actual panel. And at the end of the panel discussion, we're going to give some opportunities for the audience to ask specific questions.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name's Gareth Whittaker. I am a storyteller and a business builder. I said to my son the other day, my claim to fame at the moment is having been one of the creators of a TV show called Chasing the Sun. But as with many things, when you find a little bit of success, your job is then to make sure that your claim to fame doesn't stay that. And so I'm currently on a mission to find a new claim to fame. But I have a deep and very real belief in the power of stories. I know that stories have an ability to connect us, and the better the stories we tell, the better versions of ourselves we become. And I've seen that play out as a truth for sports teams like the Springboks and Orlando Pirates, but for individuals, for companies, and for countries. Are you filming this whole thing? Jeez, hope you've got a battery pack.
He's chasing the sun.
Yeah, thank you. It's lekker to be here. I'm looking forward to the chat.
Cool.
Nice.
But there will be Chasing the Sun 3, by the way.
It's a trilogy, so there will be a Chasing the Sun 3, certainly.
The best storyteller always wins, right? All right, Steve Uriah, my name. Serial entrepreneur, brand builder. Currently involved in functional wellness, optimization, regenerative wellness. My journey has been community. That's why I love what you guys have here. You've said it many times, and relying and building community is the stickiness and the core of greatness. And if you don't have community, you don't have business. And that's the truth. It's not just chasing financial means. So I have been in wellness for 40 years. I have been in the US for 30 of those. I have built the boutique fitness world in South Africa originally with a brand called Sweat 1000 and then Switch Playground. I've taken those concepts to the United States, had operations in New York City, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Georgia, and never really felt like I belonged in the US. I'm an African at heart, and the heartbeat and rhythm of this country is unlike anything in the world. We're very blessed to be here. And now, pivoted into cellular regeneration and wellness and building a new brand that, again, somehow got trapped into the USA again. So we're in South Africa currently and expanding to the United States. And it's an honor and a privilege to be here. And I appreciate being invited. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, and good evening to everyone. My name is Nick Ferguson. I'm a creative accountant. I'm a CA profession, and effectively moved into property in the early 2000s, looking for opportunity to take property and sort of reinvigorate it and reimagine it. One of our first projects was we took the Metropole Hotel in Mount Street and we put some some of those airstream caravans on the roof of this hotel. We did it on a Sunday morning when no one could actually stop us, and by the time they realised it was too late. But then, we basically started buying property around Long Street. We focused on, at the time, it was myself and my business partner, things that were close to our hearts, which was the nightclubs and the bars and the, and the restaurants. Fortunately, we moved off that now. We're far more healthy. So,
Not judging.
Yeah, and then did some stuff in Woodstock, and then did the River Club. I bought the River Club and effectively partnered with another developer there and developed that. And almost by default ended up in airports, and it's been a wonderful journey to unpack it and learn and bring our team and try to figure it out. So I'm now basically in airports, and I'll explain to you a little bit more about it now.
Thank you, creative. I'm also a creative accountant, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I left accounting many years ago after I qualified.
Yeah.
But thank you, guys. Thanks for the kind introductions. And, all of you spoke about brand as a common theme. And I'm very curious, and Steve, maybe if we could start with you, is what makes brands last? So if I think about the brands that you've built, Sweat 1000, I remember when I was doing my articles at Investec, and Investec had all the hot girls out of all the banks. They were all going to Sweat 1000, first thing they did in the morning. And that brand has just stuck through the test of time. So how did you manage to sustain that brand? And what do you think makes brand endurance?
First of all, they weren't hot till they came to Sweat 1000. And that's all I have to say about that. I think creating the stickiness, like I said, about having an identity that people can relate to, and creating the community, like I said, where there's a feeling of belonging, where you're not just a number, you mean something to the business. And those touch points are crucial to a successful business, especially when you're doing high volumes, like you said, and people want that feeling of belonging, especially post-COVID, when we were all so isolated. People longed to be involved in a community. So you'll see now the evolution has become these running clubs, coffee workouts. Health has taken off. It's become monstrous now. But for me, it's passion with purpose and really being authentic. So, if I had a Kentucky franchise, it wouldn't be right. It wouldn't do well. It's not who I am. And I think if you're the face of a brand, you have to live your brand, and you have to truly breathe it. And you build like-minded people around you. You're both creative accountants. I've been looking for creative accountants. They're good with books. The figures I work with wear yoga pants. They don't sit on spreadsheets. So for me, it's about being brilliant at what you're brilliant at, and surrounding yourself with people who are equally brilliant in other areas like accounting, helping you to create that brand, to stay authentic. And again, that stickiness factor, what is it that keeps people coming back? And we've done that time and again with the brands we've created. It's sticking to who your true identity is and making sure you don't divert from that.
Gareth, I want to come to you to talk about the Springbok brand, because I really think that the Chasing the Sun series, it really catapulted it to a level that became as big, if not bigger, than the All Blacks. And can you just share a little bit of sentiment around what your thoughts on how brands stay and how they grow, and also just why you chose the Springboks?
Why I chose? Let me start there, because the Springboks have an incredible ability to connect us as South Africans, and when the Springboks do well, South Africa does well.
Yeah.
And I want South Africa to do well. And it's nice to be able to play a small part in that. The Springbok brand, I believe that brands need to be built on strong foundations. And those foundations, look, I'm not a brand expert, I'm a storytelling expert. Or even that, I don't know if I'm an expert. But the foundations of the Springbok brand are actually winning. You know, when the Boks really, really started connecting with South Africa, we won a World Cup in 1995. And that then, we took a bit of a break from winning. When we started working with the Springboks in the build-up to the 2019 World Cup, I sat across from Rassie, and he looked me in the eye and said, "Make no mistake, Hope doesn't win World Cups, bench pressers do." And in some ways he was right, actually, because the branding and the storytelling and the fluffy stuff doesn't work unless you go and win World Cups.
Yeah.
And I think that applies to a lot of different things in life and business. And the positioning and the packaging matters when you're positioning and packaging something fundamental. And I think that's what, as South Africans, that we end up loving so much about the Springboks, is they tell us that we can be great. And I think that's the fundamental of their brand. Like, or particularly in the South African context, they tell me that I can be a world champion at building businesses or telling stories or being in the Air Force or building a health brand or an airport. They give me license to believe that I can be the best in the world. And I think that's a flipping powerful place to start building a brand from. Does that make sense?
Are you the best in the world?
Am I the best in the world?
Yeah.
No, I'm not even close. But I want to be. And I think that matters more. Because the endeavour is cyclical. And being the best in the world is only measured at a moment in time. And, you know, Chasing the Sun 3 will happen if the Springboks win the World Cup again. And I don't think it will if they don't. And they're the best in the world at a moment in time. Even in a 4-year World Cup cycle, the Springboks haven't been the best in the world. For large portions of that, although we've got quite good at being the best now for a long period of time. But I don't know. I mean, of course I'm not the best in the world. There's millions of people better than me.
Nick, I want to come to you, my fellow creative accountant, on the subject of best in the world, because you've got quite a bold vision around the Cape Winelands Airport that I'd like you to share with us, in terms of how do you think, firstly, what made you decide to take on such an ambitious project, and where would you rank that airport from this best in the world concept? And I'm not talking about number of volumes or amount of money that you're going to make, but what does that best in the world look like to you when it comes to that project?
I think realistically, like anything in life, things evolve. You don't, how this transpired, this airport is, we had a cannabis business that we had set up actually myself and my business partner, and he was running it, and we sold it to a Canadian listed cannabis business. And we were paid in shares, and we were paid based on achieving certain milestones. And one of the milestones was to go and find a post-harvest facility for cannabis processing. And Jody was running the business side of the cannabis. I was more on the property side, so he delegated it to me, and I started trying to look for a place for this post-harvest facility. And I went onto Google Earth and I saw this this airport. It's that I didn't even know existed. It's got 4 intersecting runways. They're 90 meters wide. You can almost take off sideways on these things, and they're up to 1,500 meters long. Anyway, I presented this to the guys in Canada, and they weren't interested in that site. We ended up buying another place in Atlantis for the cannabis business, but I went back, and it had piqued my interest. So I went back and said, no, geez, there's something to this. There's something in this, the value of this land. It's an existing airport. It was built in 1943 by the Allied forces. It's got scale. It's got, you could even rubbleize those runways and sell the rubble for more than basically the cost of the airport. So we didn't really have these audacious things that we were going to build a second international airport. It evolved. So we said, listen, what planes can you land on it? We knew nothing. Realistically, knew nothing about it. I went to the lift guys. They said, no, they need 2,200 meters, and we were now on 1,500. So we said, okay, we've got to buy the neighbor. So we go and negotiate with the neighbor, buy him, and then we buy the next one. And that's how it evolved. So it wasn't I think like anything in life, you don't, where it ends up, it's like a little river. Are we talking about floods? You need like a little droplet. It will just follow its own course. And you asked that, how I got into it. That's how I got into it. And then, how did it evolve to this? We're a private company, so then I had to build a team. I had to get people involved, and went to AXA and said, listen, will you support this? And the head of Cape Town International Airport said, no, you'll support it for GA, but not scheduled traffic, which is passenger traffic. And then, not coincidentally, but to our benefit, COVID hit. And COVID had like a profound impact on the aviation industry. Airlines stopped flying, airports were losing money. We had put in the offer on this property, and it was subject to due diligence. And when there was this turmoil, we could have got out of it, and we decided just to go ahead with it and figure it out as we went along. Anyway, the AXA then offered a voluntary retrenchment package to everyone at AXA, and one of the main guys, actually the head that I'd spoken to, who said we could only do GA, actually took that voluntary retrenchment package. And then I approached him again, and I said, okay, now you've now technically retired. Don't you want to come join me? And then he came, and then that's how it evolved. And we started unpacking it. We've built a business case on a second airport that's 10 billion rand cost that we can fund up front without any traffic. So we've managed to build it, and not build it, but go through the process of getting approvals. So hopefully that's not too long-winded.
No, that's a whole story. That actually deserves a Chasing the Sun 4, maybe.
I know,
Chasing the airport. I don't know if you guys have spoken about.
We must do that.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that. I think it would be a good idea.
Yeah.
I think
just give me some credit. When you do the credits, just please mention my name.
Sure. Yeah. You'll be amazed how many people want to be in the credits.
Exactly. And then also ask them to subscribe to my podcast.
I think everyone in the room has already.
Okay. So, Steve, I want to come to you again. You've got a military background, and just with that disciplined military mindset, what do you think what do you think people can learn from it? Just the everyday person, like sitting in one room.
Well, I think you pegged it in the word discipline. At the time with conscription, we had to go, and most guys tried to figure out how to get out of it. And at the time, I had some medical issues, and they wanted to make me what was called a G3, which meant light office work, which wasn't going to happen. I said, either you make me a G1 or you give me a G5, which meant I was exempt. So I was one of the few who pushed for that. I've always loved pushing. That's my thing, is teaching people the ability to realize their limitations are only in their mind. And that's what military is about. So having got that clearance and learned that discipline, I think it's the fundamental pivoting point in my life where I taught myself about that limitation thing, because you really had to endure things one wouldn't conceive doing. And you know, when you went in to the military, you were finished school, you were the mana in matric, or you'd done your degree and you were the bee's knees. And then you get there, and a 16-year-old kid who couldn't wait to go to the army so he could grow his hair and wear shoes was telling you what to do. They shaved your head, put you in a brown uniform, you lost your identity, you were given a number, and they built you up into a fighting machine. But the point to the story is that same discipline that I was given there, I've carried with me through my life. And in teaching people about this, we have people who say, yeah, I'll be at your class at 5 in the morning. You know, motivation's very short-lived, discipline lasts forever. And the truth is, if you carry that same discipline in everything you do, I don't think anything is unachievable. Airports, the Springbok team winning, them teaching you, those guys I've worked with athletes. You know, I was fortunate enough to work with the NFL in the US with multiple superstar athletes. The bottom line is a lot of them lack discipline too. They had God-given talent. But the hard workers beat the talent every time. And that discipline, I mean, you guys know about discipline. You can see someone, how they look, how they carry themselves. So, yeah, military was definitely a key fundamental for me in teaching that. And that's something I've carried with me. And I actually created the first outdoor boot camp ever in Atlanta, Georgia, which was filmed by CNN, because I worked with Sanjay Gupta at the time, who's the medical correspondent. He came out and filmed, and that's where boot camp was born. And they still do it in all the gyms all over. It's hired ex-military guys, Marines, to teach civilians about discipline. It was pretty cool. So, yeah, military was, I still think most young people should go through that. We've lost that strength. We're soft. We're not disciplined, and we just look for the path of least resistance, when if you want to shape yourself to be a leader in industry or in anything in life, you have to have discipline.
Do you think you've got to intentionally build your discipline, or are some people born with
I think
a
innately
greater aptitude for
some
it?
people are. I think people are born with that drive, that burning desire. Most people sitting in this room who have been leaders of industry and high performers have a certain amount of discipline. You can't do it without it. But you can teach yourself. You can change your mindset and your thought process. It is a conscious decision, and it's work. You know, nothing happens by mistake, ever. And I do believe every one of us has the power to dig deep and to, you know, it's the I can't mentality. I have no time for that. We can all learn discipline.
Who's the most disciplined person that you've ever worked with? Maybe someone that's more disciplined than yourself.
Reg
And
Park.
why?
So Reg Park was my mentor. He was the Mr. Universe back in the 50s. He taught Arnold. That's my connection. I worked with Arnold. He was great, by the way. But Reg Park was the most disciplined human being I've ever come across. And his whole mindset also then forged the military mindset that I'd had together with, and I'll tell you who else is highly disciplined, is Jesse Creel. He's one of the most disciplined sportsmen and people I've come across that I've worked with in my past, and his work ethic he's unstoppable, and that's why his level of output is what it is.
Well, Gareth, you worked with all these disciplined people in Chase in the Sun 1 and 2. Can you actually share what is your experience like working with all these disciplinarians, if you want to call it
They're
that?
not all disciplined, actually.
They really are.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, it's not, I don't know if it's always the key ingredient. And in fact, there's huge variety and complexity. And Jesse's an unbelievably disciplined human being. Others aren't. I think professional sports has created a world now where some level of discipline is important.
Yeah.
But you know who's an incredible, not the answer to your question, but who's an incredibly disciplined man who I've done a lot of work with over the last year is Gary Player. We're about to launch a film called Mr. Player. It launches now in June or July, and it tells the story of his life. And he pioneered wellness before it was even vaguely fashionable. Mr. Player decided that he wanted to live to a very old age, and he decided this in his 40s. So I said to him, how did you figure this out? And he said, no, he's disciplined about being happy or joyful, maybe joyful. He's disciplined about being joyful, and I just love life, and so I want to live for a very long time. And so he went and studied the Japanese. And this, you must understand, was pre-Google, pre the internet. And he went and found out that the Japanese were the best at living a really long life. And he studied them. And he wrote down these 10 rules to living a long life. And I said, you know, what are they? And he takes his wallet out and he opens up his wallet. He's a bit of a storyteller, so the 10 rules sometimes are 7 and sometimes they're 9, you know. But whatever. And he takes it out and he reads it. Number 1, laugh every day. Number 2, undereat. Number 3, surround yourself with family. Anyway, so he's got these 10 rules, fitness, and he lives his life by it. And what I love about him is he is living proof of his 10 rules, because he's 90 years old, he's happy, he's energized, he plays golf 300 times a year, he's just got a new girlfriend. I don't know, I like the guy who is a proof point for his own philosophy, and he really is. Didn't answer your question.
No, not at all. But you're about to tell me another story.
It's good.
So, you want to say something, Steve?
No.
Okay.
Just reiteration.
I actually want to ask you something about storytelling, closer to your heart. So, a lot of the times, firstly, everyone loves storytelling, especially when it comes to sports, because everyone has a hero. Everyone, the way that stories are told, and Chasing the Sun is a prime example. There's a lot of emotion that goes into it. There's discipline or lack thereof. There's a last-minute try. There's the drop goal, etc. Storytelling around sports is amazing. We're drawn into it a lot. Business-wise, sometimes could be a little bit different. How do you think we can tell better stories of businesses?
Yeah, Flip, that's a great question. Yeah. I think as business people, we are more obsessed with the story we want to tell than the story the world wants to hear or watch or consume. And the problem with that is the story that we want to tell is our own self-obsession. And too often it's about shit that people don't care about. But we care really, really, really deeply about it because we're figuring something out in our business at the time or in the moment. And so the first thing that I think people have to do way, way, way more work is to figure out the kind of stories that the world really wants to consume. If you want to call it storytelling. Otherwise, it's just marketing. Marketing is a list of things that matter to you that you're going to try to sell to the world. But if it's really going to be a story, it's going to have some value. way beyond just what I want to tell people. So I think that's critically important and underdone. The second thing, and I think this is going to become more and more important as technology and AI makes us all packaging experts, is the willingness as business people to reveal our faults, to be ourselves, to lean into our humanness, which sometimes is at odds with the commercial landscape. So if you think, particularly if you're reporting quarter to quarter, and if you have external shareholders and you are trying to manipulate and shape market trends, it middles you. But I think actually people deeply admire human beings for their failings and their fuck-ups, and their ability to overcome them. And I don't know, not that many business people do that well. And yeah. So, because the rest of it's going to be done now for us. Everyone in this room is capable of being a way better script writer than anyone who, and we had some stunningly creative and talented script writers on Chasing the Sun, but you've got the ability to do that now on your phone at the same level as, no, at a way better level than the writers or the editors or the designers or the videographers. It's all doable now. So,
And what's going to make you stand out in the future?
well, your essence, your humanness. But I think like a willingness to not be perfectly packaged and to stumble through things and to miss it a little bit. By the way, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a futurist. That's my thought, my view. But I think as business people, like Nick was talking about it, stumble through our way, and we made a call, and the call was, we'll figure it out. Like I think that is so much more endearing than some guy sitting on a stage going, well, I always fucking knew exactly what it was going to be, and this was my plan, and I executed a 9-point plan because I'm the smartest guy in the room. That's not as charming. Yeah, excuse my language, sorry.
You're right.
Oh, apologize.
Nick, moving on to you, do you feel like you've had to tell your story in various ways, given some of the challenges that you've had with the development? What story have you sold, and has that story been well received in the market?
I suppose we got our Dutch friends here that are just buying in Hout Bay. They're taking over Cape Town here. But Cape Town is essentially an island. We're at the tip of Africa. You know, we could have the dancing girls with the cocktails. We are so far away from other airports that it's a completely worldwide unique situation. If you're flying from any wide-body plane, you're flying to Cape Town, you have to divert to Joburg. Now, if you overlay South Africa on Europe, for instance, the distance between Joburg and Cape Town is the same as the distance between London and Berlin, basically. It's imagine you take off from London and you're flying to Berlin and something's wrong there and you've got to fly back to London. The scale of this country is huge. And here in Cape Town, we're completely isolated from other airports. So we came across this model, which has never been done in the world, where we realized that airlines were carrying fuel to divert to alternate destinations that were very far away. And essentially what they do is they have to carry enough fuel. Obviously, they don't want to get to their destination. There's a problem, they don't have enough fuel to fly somewhere else. So it's like, that's, even I know that. So they carry this extra fuel. I call it dead weight. And by carrying this dead weight, they burn extra fuel. If you're heavy, you actually end up burning more fuel. So, and when they burn more fuel, they end up emitting carbon emissions and are bad on the environment. But if they didn't carry this fuel, they would carry payload, because it does not make sense to cargo fuel back and forward between two different places. So we basically came up with a model where we create a value for this industry. And the value in 2019 was in excess of R1 billion annually. So, and what that is any aeroplane that's flying into Cape Town, instead of carrying the fuel, would carry the cargo, and the cargo, Teddy, I'll start the counting. Like there's a negative of 100,000 rand for an Emirates flight from Dubai to Cape Town in terms of fuel burn. They burned 100,000. If they didn't carry that fuel, they would carry 10 tons of cargo. That's a 1.5 million rand opportunity cost. We've gone to the industry and we said, listen, we will build this airport and we will take half of the value that we've created and we'll use that money to build the airport. And the thing is, it's a technical thing that we uncovered. But I like to say to people, Teddy, I'm going to give you $100. Will you give me 50 back? The guy's like, huh? It's like, yeah, I will give you 50 back. So that's how it is. That's how we've uncovered something completely unique in the world. There's only one other airport that does charges to be an alternate destination, and that is Perth in Australia, and it's to a way less degree. So I think uncovering that is then going to dynamically change the environment for the whole aviation industry in South Africa, because if you cumulatively add up what these aeroplanes carried, they carried 110,000 tons of fuel unnecessarily annually, back and forward. And if you suddenly introduce 110,000 tons of cargo capacity, you've completely changed the entire aviation market in this area, because anything imported into by plane, supply and demand, supply's gone up. If the demand stays the same, the price has to come down. So that was probably, without that, we wouldn't be building this. Not on this scale. We would be building a GA airport with smaller planes.
Was it like a lightning bolt where it was figured out in the team, or did
It was like sort of, we stumbled across it, but we came across it, and then myself and our financial director worked out ourselves, and we said, no, this is it true? And we asked some pilots, and they said, yeah, it's true. And then we effectively engaged the company in Germany, because we knew that realistically they're not going to believe the accountants. So, yeah, we definitely not believed about this. So we engaged this company, and essentially they corroborated what we said, and they gave very technical numbers back. And then essentially the proof of the pudding is in the eating, because we signed the airlines, and we've signed 5 airlines, big airlines now. So from international, from America, from Germany, from Safir, Luft, Delta, Lufthansa, and that's allowed us to do something that can only really ever be done by the government, because
being right here. They always say end things off on a high. But Steve, I think back to you. I'm still I'm very fascinated by wellness. I think I still am okay for a 39-year-old. But how do you sell wellness actually as a story? You've touched on discipline. You touched on obviously your influence from the military, and this wellness market is growing extraordinarily. There's almost like there's a new talk of the town every couple of months from an exercise perspective. I think the latest one now is what's that exercise they do at Cape Town Convention? Say high rocks. High rocks. Yes. You do high rocks. Okay. So there's all these like new exercises and challenges. And how do you sell the story of wellness? Like how do you get people?
Well, I think wellness is now a $7 trillion business. It's bigger than oil. Globally, and I think it goes back to saying when we look at COVID and how many people realize the importance of health, everyone, when you spoke about Gary Player, he's among others, we look at the word biohacking, which is a terrible word, it's actually biooptimization. High achievers in Silicon Valley who were chasing fortune finally got to, we were speaking about this earlier, to their wealth, and when they got there they realized they were too exhausted and too burnt out to enjoy it. So they started trying to reverse the damage they've done. And that's where all these biohacking things, red light therapy and hyperbaric chambers and what do we ice baths, saunas, brilliant things for longevity. I think everybody has a certain amount of vanity to look good, more importantly to feel good. So you sell people, like you said, a lot of people don't face their negatives or their failings. I think people are now, social media, these influencers, these people who are putting this fake narrative about, I mean, you're an influencer at 22. I mean, what do you know at 22? I mean, what are you influencing? If you don't have a six-pack at 22, you've got problems, you know what I'm saying? It's easy at 22 to have a six-pack, and then telling people in their mid-50s, you should also have this. Let's see how you look in 30 years, kid. No grudge, just be honest. So I don't think you have to sell it. I think everybody wants to feel better. Everyone wants to be better. Now there's all these trends, we talk about peptides. Everyone asks what they doesn't know about them, false narratives, back to the influencers who are 22, who teach about peptides. It's not a difficult thing to sell when you can actually have a tangible result in what I'm selling. And when you come in and you experience that dopamine, that serotonin release, that feeling of exhilaration, you've achieved greatness for yourself in baby steps even. You've changed your life for the better. Everyone knows when they're eating junk food that they're eating junk food, and they have that guilt inside them. But when you go for a walk on the prom or you come home after an early morning workout, there's no better feeling. And you don't have to sell that. You know, it's like, I haven't seen any drug dealers advertising, you know, and I don't think we need to. It's, again, community stickiness and selling something that's true and meaningful, but at the end of the day, you're helping people elevate and become the best version of themselves, believe in themselves, and then become more productive through that by not being burnt out, by getting into a parasympathetic state, not living in stress, undoing stress, all the evils that come with living a sedentary, unhealthy life. I can give that to you. I can take that away from you and give you something new. I don't have to sell that. It sells itself when people experience it, and then they obviously all want to share that feeling with other people. So they spread the word, and word of mouth, organic growth in this industry is the most powerful when you really truly sell something. And again, authenticity and true to self and lead by example. I think that's the easiest part, is you have to be that which you're preaching.
And maybe to that point, Gareth, to end off with you before we do the Q&As from the audience, is how do we tell stories about ourselves, actually, and not in a bragging way, but in that authentic way, especially in a world where now our stories are false narratives. They live on social media. They even AI, I feel like, knows us better than ourselves. If you on Claude put your name, you kind of read the outcome and you're like, wow, actually, I didn't know that this person knows so much about me. You're getting some tough questions. It's a storyteller.
I think that you may well be better off obsessing over the impact that you're going to have than over the story you're going to tell. And if you have impact, you will have a decent story to tell. And like, worrying too much about the story you're going to tell others doesn't seem to me to be a good use of your time. I think stories are super powerful and great, but actually moving the world forward, doing something of value, contributing to our society, building a business, being a good dad or mum, or I just think having some impact will give you a story to tell. And then, try hard to do the impact justice with a decent narrative. But, I'm not sold on obsessing over the harm of the story. I don't know.
There's a bank, I'm not going to say what color it is, but they've got a campaign that says, what's your story? You know that bank, right?
By the way, if anyone works there, I think that you are underdoing that campaign. Because it's like you read a textbook. It's absurd. It's like you read a textbook.
I didn't say it.
It's like you read a textbook that said storytelling matters, and then you just write storytelling on billboard. That's not good enough. That's not good creative work. And South Africa's got so many rich stories. ABSA has so many customers with such depth and story in their life. But they just buy a Getty image shot of a lady with hair and say, what's your story? That's diabolical creativity. And someone gets paid for it. No, it's just underdone. It's actually a really good platform, but that is underused. I'm sorry for marketing directors here, but I would love to help you if you are.
How about what's your impact? Would you pay me more for that? Let us move on then to Q&As. And is there a roaming mic that can support? So we'll just give a couple of minutes for anyone in the audience that would like to ask any specific questions. Please ask Garrett all the hard mics.
Yeah, he's good at that.
Exactly.
Unless you work at ABSA.
Okay, anyone want to start?
Sure, we did a good job.
Andrew. You can just say who your name is so everyone knows you.
My name's Andrew Bourne. This question's for Nick. Nick, I'd be very interested to kind of understand your journey from when you kind of left the corporate world, or I think you were a CA and started investing in property, and how you and your partners then kind of built up to the point where you could go ahead and acquire something like the Old Basketball with Stock Exchange, all of those other projects that you guys did. Take us back to the beginning when you started the kind of property venture.
So I didn't start out in property. I had some businesses rates, tenants change the uses and up the rents, and property is it's a little bit like a rolling snowball. It's like it just starts to gather, gets bigger, and over time, just expands. I used to tell my wife, I used to say, listen, when this is paid off in 10 years from now, we can retire. And then what would happen is I would revalue, take the money and buy. It's just like, it's 10 years, what's happening? It's like, no, it's like, so we just kept buying more, and that's how it worked. If you hold it, probably forever, you will come up better. How I got into it, it was, there is a creative side to property too. So, making films is obviously very rewarding in building your businesses, but when you go, even your own personal properties, when you go and paint a wall and it looks good, you feel proud of yourself. It doesn't just paint it. It's almost by default I ended up in property.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Wayne Williams. That's my question. I think I've got a couple for all of you. To link just the transition, what should have been maybe just the space for private planes, and then going into like getting the commercial flights and international. What was the shift, from your initial thinking to say, okay, I can actually expand bigger than this, and obviously, what does the support look like? That's my question to you. To Steve.
You have to do 50 push-ups if you're going to ask me.
I'm not a
It's
fan
about
of the
discipline.
military. So I think in society we currently dealing with a huge issue around mental health. A lot of young people, a lot of grown adults, people who have been successful, people who had always considered themselves disciplined, then finding themselves in a space where you feel a sense of limitation. What's the importance then around coaching and getting people into a space whereby you can transform your mentality? How does that look like? I've had a couple of coaches and mentors who have assisted me in some spaces, so I believe that's kind of important. But what's your approach, and how do you then bring people into a space whereby your trajectory becomes kind of clear, which is what we all kind of want to know. And to Gareth, I feel you're actually very much an expressionist, which is lovely. How do you associate brand with storytelling, especially around personal branding? I'm a 28-year-old young man trying to find myself and growing, and sometimes I just feel lost, but I feel like there's a story to tell. At the same time, I feel like I'm developing my own personal brand. So how do you merge that and say, okay, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, and this is the story I want to tell? Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. You'll remember the
Okay,
question.
I'll go first. So our airport evolved not because of any personal things. There's a need for it. There's a need. Cape Town International's at capacity. We currently Cape Town broke 11 million passengers recently, Cape Town International, and we've got traffic forecasts that show that we can get to 33 million passengers by 2055. That's triple the numbers.
Okay.
The Cape Town International is doing a runway realignment because they've effectively run out of capacity at peak hours. So it wasn't done for any other reason other than a need. And
I like to tell the politicians that every good city and big has got 2 airports. I say, even Windhoek's got 2. So, and then they're like, wow, we must have 2. So, but you do need 2. I mean, you need redundancy. They do different things. If you look at Heathrow and Gatwick, Gatwick has got 40 million passengers a year. That's more than all the airports of South Africa put together. And that's on one runway, and they do different routes to Heathrow. If you're going to Heathrow, you're going to go long distance to New York or Beijing or something. If you go to Gatwick, you're going to do Marseille and Rome and those type of things. So they do different things, and there is a need for it, and realistically the demand is what will drive the thing. If there's no demand, you can't make it up. It's just the demand will drive the thing. I hope that's answered your question.
All right. For me, thanks for your question. I like your ambition, 28, looking for clear direction, focus, having already worked with some coaches and mentors. I think it comes down to how bad somebody wants something. We can preach, we can lead, we can do whatever we can do from our own discipline, but we can't instill it in others if they don't want it themselves. So I think the best way to success for most people is to have an accountability partner, someone that you can rely on to pull you along when you need your locomotive. Sometimes you're the one with the motivation. Sometimes they are. You may have equal discipline, but there's always someone to answer to. That's why the psychology around Switch Playground, which was such a successful brand, was that you worked out in couples. So you would always have that one person you'd book your 5:45 a.m. class with, and you had to show up for them even if you didn't want to. And the other thing is to honestly be realistic with your goals. Set yourself up for success. You're not going to be a 200-kilo bodybuilder. It's not realistic in a healthy way anyway. So set real goals that are achievable, and when you get to them, set your next goal. And I think it goes the same way in business and in everything you're doing. Don't be so hard on yourself. You've got a great mindset. I think you've got your vision set. You've asked great questions. And I think even in your case, with your answer to him, I think it would be important to be realistic. And again, each day, sometimes someone said, celebrate where you are now. It was once your goal as you're building, So enjoy the journey on the way to the goal. Don't miss out on life. Always look out the window and look at the view.
I think that's a very cool answer.
Appreciate it, bro. You've motivated me.
Yeah, I hope that was recorded.
I'm going to do a movie as well now.
Recorded.
I know a guy. Yeah, but perhaps it's a little bit of a reiteration of what I said last time. The building a personal brand and your story is... I'm not an expert at that. You know what? I can tell you what I hunt for in stories that I tell is really interesting people and people who are able to go on a mission. Storytelling, most stories really are just about some person on a mission to change the world for the better who comes up against some obstacles and overcomes them and then comes out changed at the other side. More or less all the stories you've ever watched are that. So figure out your mission. And then when you come up against an obstacle, be okay with that because it makes the story a little bit better. And hopefully you come out changed for the better on the other side.
That's a better answer.
I don't know.
No, you did well.
Basking.
Hi, guys.
Thanks. We'll just take one more question, and then I think we need to wrap up.
Jan
Make sure it's to
Labuschagne.
Gareth, though.
No, it is. Eventually it comes to you. But just want to give props to all you guys. Genuinely, like, awesome. It's incredible how 4 different personalities like come together, and each one, when you speak, the room doesn't, you can hear a pin drop. And different personalities, that's the coolest thing. However, the question I want to ask based on that is, all of us are so different, right? So Gareth, this is to you, in the sense of you did Chasing the Sun and absolutely cracked all of us, specifically with Makazolo's story, right? That was like the absolute crux, right? So how do you suggest that business people look at their own business, their own stories, without becoming self-obsessed and getting that crux of what the world wants to hear? What the story is the world wants to hear. Yeah.
Another hard one.
They're not going to
don't know.
You're not leaving strong.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think?
Oh, you're putting it on me.
What's your story?
Talk to the airport guy.
Like,
Airport and property can handle that much better.
Rugby, people care deeply about rugby, right? So it's easy to tell a rugby story. Try to be interesting. Like, I don't have an answer for that. It's a very good question, but I don't have an answer. Sorry.
You got cornered.
What
What was the question again? Make it simpler
Give it
for
to
us.
ask
Come on.
the question differently. Ask it differently.
Yeah, help us out here.
How do you look at your business? Okay. Sorry. How do you look at your business, at yourself, and think, listen, yeah, but I want to tell a fucking cool story now.
Okay, can I
What
ask you?
does
Let
the
me ask
world
you.
want to
Let me
hear?
ask you. What is your business?
So I'm doing business development for a Dutch client that
Yes.
sells rectifiers in the green hydrogen space.
Okay, what is a rectifier?
A rectifier turns AC current into DC current.
What does that mean?
Power lines run on AC current. If you want green hydrogen, it has
Why
to run
should I
on DC.
care about that?
Exactly.
No,
exactly.
I'm asking you why I should care. You can't ask me why I should care about it. I'm asking you why I should care about it.
Why you should care about
I think
that
you
is
pissed him
because-
off.
No, you haven't pissed me off. But if you can figure out why I should care, you're on a really good path. Because at the moment, you've lost me because I'm not that smart.
Yeah.
Seriously, what is it?
So
Like, what's the why?
why you should care about-
Why does your client's business exist?
well, fair enough. I understand what you're saying.
Because if you can get, if you can get to the why, I mean, my guess is that they're trying to figure out.
So they want to make money. But
No.
no.
Everyone wants to make money, but anyone who's vaguely smart has many different options for how to do that.
No,
So
absolutely.
you then there's another filter that they have to put on their decision-making process to get into that business outside of money, because, like, otherwise, surely
it's
not
what's,
only money.
what's their why is
Yeah.
essentially the question.
Yeah,
Okay, I understand.
because it's not a bad starting point, I don't think, to try and figure out a little bit of a. I mean, and by the way, I'm not. I'm not belittling the desire to make money. It's great fun and a really good reason to run a business. But try to articulate with real clarity the why. I think it's a good start. It's got to be about something about clean energy and making the world a better place, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Surely.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And if we don't do it, then who will? And if it's not done, then our kids won't have a planet to live on, and Mars looks shit. Right. That's it. Something like that.
And
No,
just off
exactly.
the back of that, there is a billboard that says, "What's your story?" You could take that and really fucking make it happen.
Flip. Basically, my question's been answered, but I'll just continue adding to the debate. Firstly, my name's Simon. I'm dressed by Zedman. Thank you, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Huh?
I'm not trespassing. I will be. Having listened to all of that, I won't drag more on, but I kept on thinking of this one particular scene from Chasing the Sun 2 while you were answering, which is a great man called Jacques Nienaber, who, in a moment when the team had been defeated, again, please excuse my language, it's going to be in Afrikaans, so it kind of doesn't count, because I'm English speaking, not because Afrikaans is not a great language. He says, they're trying to tell us that we have a particular movie, but we are going to write our own movie. Hulle fucking weet nie wat ons weet nie. And what he is expressing in that is, just to double click on what Gareth said here about, you don't get to tell a story unless you've made some kind of impact first. So firstly, there is the background there. The Springboks have already won a World Cup. But the business case that Jacques Nienaber is making there is he's using the story of the Springboks to motivate future success. So firstly, the Springboks had to have figured out their why. And in the process of figuring out their why, they're figuring out their own movie, not somebody else's version of their own movie, right? And then they're traveling towards that. So they're taking their past credibility, they're taking a future version of themselves that they want to achieve, and they're moving towards that. And that's how story is transformed through that particular process. But basically, just do what he said about finding your why is pretty much it. There you go. Okay, thanks.
Can we get a chair?
Yeah.
Get a chair? You want to take Garrett's place? Because it's a hot seat.
He's exhausted.
Yeah, okay. I'm done. I've spent.
You know what's cool about that as well is you don't need. I don't believe you need an intellectual understanding of story. Jacques doesn't have an intellectual understanding of what storytelling is. He just said they're not going to fucking write our story for us. That's all. He doesn't have an intellectual understanding of what a great story is. He just cares deeply about his subject matter and wants to win. And I think that's absolutely fine. I don't think you should go away and study storytelling unless what you do for a living is tell stories. Study your thing deeply and obsess over that. The rest of it will come. I'm sure of it.
And because
and if people's eyes glaze over when you're talking, you're not doing great. So go write a different version of it.
And because humans are naturally good storytellers.
Yeah,
like the
I think
oldest
so.
thing we've been doing.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tondi, Megan, remember, next panel, you've got another storyteller who has to be, but you can't be here without being dressed by Zedman, please. You can't come here like that. So just in closing, I want to give each of our panelists just 1-2 minutes closing commentary before we close off the panel. So if I could start with the creative accountant.
Closing commentary. Sure. It's around airports or
In general.
Property, cannabis. You choose. You've got about 50 businesses.
No, just, I don't know, just believe in yourself and be humble, and life will take its course, I suppose. That's and hold on to your property. It's caring. It's Albertine Smith, who's a friend of mine, he said the three L's in business will kill your business. He says, I said, what's this? We're busy cycling. He says, ladies, liquor, and leverage. So
That's a good one.
Those are the three L's. He also said the three S's, but I'm not going to get into that.
It's going to go down.
Sounds like a cool guy. From my side, it's not always successful. Embrace the failures because they make you better at your next success. and always fall forward. Always fall forward, never fall back, and never fall down. It's like Stallone said, you know, get knocked down 6 times, get up 7. Not everything's going to be a home run. I mean, I've started, sold, closed, moved multiple companies. I've never stopped believing. I've never stopped following my heart, my passion, my dream. When others tell you you can't, believe me, that's the fire that says you can. Always, for sure. So I love the people that say I can't, because, you know, that military discipline's just going to... Anyway, I won't go too far into that, but just always believe and always practice self-love. And
from me, thanks for having us. It's been a pleasure to talk to you all, and I think your organisation is fabulous. I think it's brilliant. I'm not signing up yet. I would have found out how much it was. Great suits you make, by the way. Love your style. Anyway, thanks for having me. Thanks.
This country needs businesses, and it's awesome that you guys are in the business of building businesses. I believe deep in my heart that entrepreneurs and builders hold the secret for us in South Africa. And if this organization helps people to keep their business alive, to scale it, and to grow, that's epic. It's inspiring. It's flipping inspiring to hear people's business stories and embrace them. It's cool. Like, really, really cool. Building businesses is hard, and also